The Habs make a surprising decision today as Owen Beck has been sent back down to the Laval Rocket with Joshua Roy called up. Now, this has some pretty big implications on the Habs lineup going forward for this playoff push and reveals some more questions about who's going to be some long-term centers. We have to dive into that, plus Laval's playoff outlook and certain players that are going to come over and an update on all of our Kapanen's point totals. But guys, we also got to talk about the trade deadline and some even more recent articles coming out about some very surprising things Kent Hughes may have tried to pull at the deadline. I'm excited to talk about all of this with you guys on this live episode of Habs Digest. Jesse, I'm excited for this. Look, I know we've talked a lot about this stuff in the last few videos, but to get to share this live in the chat with people like Joseph Donovan, what's up, Joseph, Jason Patrick, looking forward to finally catching a live, Frank Thibault, en direct from the REM and then Subway. I love talking to all the fans about this, Jesse. This is an exciting time of year.
And it's you guys, our fans, that obviously make this so much fun. We're so happy to chat, about what's been kind of going on of late. I know there's some different opinions about the deadline. Like, should Kent Hughes have added? Like, should have we got Rantanen and we're just going for it just right away? Or was it maybe a little bit better to kind of stay in the course for right now? Obviously, there's some rumors right now about refusing some stuff from Armia. We're going to break it all down here today.
Oh, yeah, I'm really, really excited. So thank you, everyone here. I also see Chris in the chat. We see WL, Habs played a decent game versus Calgary. They needed more high-threat scoring chances. I think we're going to talk a little bit about that as we talk about the lineup in just a little bit. But guys, we got to open up talking about some of this trade deadline stuff. And I know a lot of you guys, look, we're got people rolling in here. We're up to almost 100 viewers already. Well, thank you all for kindly waiting. We're going to start with this trade deadline stuff. Not going to get too far on the Joshua Roy stuff yet, because I think we got some interesting thoughts on that, Jesse. But I want to start here. Now, this is something we showed in the video the other day, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen this, but I want to discuss it live with you, and I want to get your guys' opinions. So Friedman, first of all, Jesse, said that he expects teams like Utah and Montreal to take big swings this offseason. Habs were interested in Cousins. Wouldn't be surprised if they kicked tires on Rantanen. We have some more stuff on that in a second. Even if it was a long shot, Utah would have made a run at Rantanen too. But looking towards this offseason, I'm already seeing fans throw out names, not even just free agents. Like, Jesse, we've already talked about all the free agents. Sam Bennett, Mitch Marner, throw all our money there. But it's the trade targets of the guys that I don't even think are on the market at this point, not officially, that Kent Hughes could be going for. But the fact that we're hearing pretty much from all these sources, even Kent himself to some degree, that something big is coming this summer. First of all, everyone in chat, give us one name. Give us a name that you think Kent Hughes could be going after in a big swing this summer. Jesse, I know we say this all the time, but as the days go by, I just cannot wait for this offseason.
And I feel like we're just playing like a game of Clue right now, like taking it back to the 90s. Like, who's it going to be? Like, it's like, who's going to be that star player? And already we're starting to hear like rumors a little bit taking shape. What we do know is this big swing that Elliot Friedman is referring to. This is going to be for a bona fide player this time instead of, more of those prospects, which again, kind of fit the moves, kind of fit where you are in the rebuild. As we're looking a little bit more sleek, this season, it's looking like Kent Hughes is going to make some moves to really kind of be in line with that as well. And I mean, I want to hear from the fans as well, because this is like a thought exercise we need to figure out. We need to get in Kent Hughes' ear right now of like letting him know, like, who do we potentially want on this team? Like, there's Quentin Byfield, maybe there's a Trocheck. I know you like Tage Thompson a lot. Like, maybe Buffalo just wants to like blow this up, and we just got the picks. What I will say before we kind of get into this conversation of like those big kind of swings for this summer is like, it could be a 2C, but Kent Hughes could also go for just like another 1C and try to form like a two-headed beast. Mm-hmm. So when we're looking at players, I think a lot of 1Cs, a lot of 2Cs, if you feel like there's kind of some wiggle room to make it happen, I mean, you do that. But again, Josh, like when we're kind of weighing this all out, we see why he tried to do a Kirby Dach type of moves, because most teams that have a 1C, 2C that's producing, playing well, like they don't want to give up on that player. Like, you're really going to need to pay a hefty price, especially if they're not like in that free agency there to be able to make that happen. So you see why you try to make it work. Now we're at a point where we really need to go for somebody bona fide. Like, where are you feeling like Kent Hughes is going on this, Josh?
I mean, I think you're actually really onto something there. Making that two-headed beast, like, based on Kent Hughes' comments, like, I have some of them here. Like, he said we'd be doing the same as, oh, whoa, try that again, Josh. We thought we'd do the same as in previous years and trade players, but the boys won 5 games in a row. He chatted with Nick Suzuki. Where is it? I called some teams about players. I won't mention names because they're very good players and prospects. These are things we'll be looking at more this summer. And I think you're bang on. Making a two-headed beast with another 1C, I think, is such a great idea. The problem is a lot of times 1Cs are not necessarily available. Look, the name Sidney Crosby always gets thrown around. I mean, at this point in his career, he'd be a great 2C, still basically a 1C, right? So maybe, right? Sam Bennett is the name I'm seeing a lot in the chat here. A lot of people, Brian, hey, welcome in, Brian, one of our Rocket Richard tier members as well. Great to see you. Not often we see you in the live, so that's really, really cool to have you here. But then we got people say, I'd want Cousins, says Garrett. I think Ottawa's going to hold on to him, and I don't think we want to touch him. Garrett also saying, I've been hearing Mitch Marner. Frank saying the move was Evans. That is a good move at this deadline. I think it was smart to not overplay the hand and go after someone when the prices were sky high. Yeah. But a 1C is what I'm looking for. I am seeing names here as well, Jesse. Nick Ehlers, he is more of a winger. He's not really a center. Even the name Jordan Kyrou, he's the style of player we really need. Again, more of a winger. He's listed as a center some places, but the dude's taken like 60 faceoffs in his career. I think he maybe could. But I think you're right. I think making that big swing is... Now, first of all, we're also talking about the off season when right now we're in a playoff push, which I find crazy at the same time, right? So I think a big swing probably is for like a legit superstar player. And now this article that we got this from NHL Trade Rumors, it's linked in the description down below. Go check it out. But I mean, Friedman said, Hughes and Gorton tested the waters on Mikko Rantanen before his eventual trade. Eric Engels previously reported the Habs had strong interest in Rantanen. And then we also got Pierre LeBrun said the Habs were looking at Dylan Cousins. Now, I don't know the source for this second part, so don't quote us on this source. Couldn't find it, but apparently, according to this website, which again is linked down below, Montreal, put together an offer centered around Dach and Mailloux, but ultimately fell short of Ottawa's package. Makes sense, considering Josh Norris is more established, has like that 35-goal season, and is on a similar contract to Dylan Cousins already at nearly $8 million. But when we're hearing this is the kind of stuff, Jesse, talking Rantanen, talking Cousins, talking these guys who are like, these big names, it wouldn't shock me. Like, one other name I've heard is like, look, I don't know what Lou Lamoriello and the Islanders are doing. I don't know if they're going to keep going. Bo Horvat's a guy, right? Like, I don't know, are they gonna end up just blowing things up? Like, Horvat's a guy that could really use a change of scenery, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm going off on all these names, but again, based on Kent Hughes' comments, Jesse, I know I've said this before, but like, I think he's going to try and top the Patty Laine move of last year, and I think it's going to be hard to do, but I think he might just pull it off.
Yeah, we got to brainstorm here, and you have to feel like the Islanders might want to get a little bit younger. Again, somebody with a little bit of that vet experience, I just think adds such a stabilizing effect. Again, why are we having such big talk about this? Why is this so important that we're bringing this up now in the midst of a playoff push? Ivan Demidov. We really want to get that right. And again, even with the Kirby Dach injury, even if he isn't happening and he just kind of, Kirby Dach's season is just going as it goes, we're still looking for that 2C. Like, this has just kind of sped up that process. And again, Kent Hughes is doing his due diligence. You have to check in with Dylan Cousins because there's an interesting player there. And part of you is interested, but part of Kent Hughes also knows kind of, obviously that he needs to go for a little bit more of that surefire move at this point in time. Rantanen fits the exact type of profile of the player we're going for. Again, you got to kick tires because it's not available all the time, but not that centerman. Same type of profile, centerman. Kent Hughes might be doing something wild in that case. Of course, Rantanen's looking to win it all this year, but it's really par for the course. I'm excited with this group that we have right now. And I think it's a lot saying that we have faith in them, that we're happy. Like, it's great to say, like, Armia, like, the way he's contributing to the team, I'm happy to still have him around. Savard, still happy to have him around for the stretch here. And I'm expecting big things from the boys for a push here.
Yeah, and I don't think we're ever going to, like, here's the way I look at it, too. I don't think we're ever going to look at this deadline and say, wow, I really regret not trading David Savard for a second-round pick. Even if Savard and Armia and Dvorak all leave in free agency, I don't think we're ever going to look back and say, gosh, that extra second would have really made a big difference. Because just a reminder how many... I don't have the picks anymore. Instead, this is Oliver Kapanen's stats, which I'm really looking longingly at because he's so good. But we're going to get rid of that. We're going to talk about that a bit later. But still, like, I'm sorry. I just love Oliver Kapanen. But, like, we're never going to look at this and say, we really missed out on something big. No, this push, the end of the season here, I know we lost 1-0 to Calgary, but it's like... it was a good game. We got Dustin Wolf. The Habs could probably win that game more often than not, right? And look, even Dobeš made a few great saves. It was a fun game, all things considered. But yeah, like there's a lot of options. And I'm actually going to read through the chat again. As we've crossed 200 viewers. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, we'd love to hit 50 likes. That's just 15 of you out of your 200. If you wouldn't mind, it'd mean the world to us. Seriously. I'm seeing someone say, Connor McDavid. Meh. Yeah, I mean, I'd love it. But I just don't think it's realistic. Sorry, Filip. I don't mean to. Anyway. But we got Tage Thompson back up the picks and prospects, struck to Buffalo and asked what they want. My only concern, Jesse, I don't know what's going on with Buffalo. We heard rumors that JJ Peterka was potentially going to be moved. That ended up just not being true. I don't know if anyone else knew Peterka had 51 points in 60 games this year. That's news to me when I was looking at his stats. Holy crap, is he a good player? But they do have some good young talent, right? And I don't know, they kind of got all their defensemen. It'd be tough for them to blow it up. I saw Jay Fresh today speculate, what if Marner was a good fit in Buffalo? But if they blow it up, Tage is a great option. Someone else Deborah saying Bo Horvat, another good option. Derek Rendell, also channel member for a long time. Bo Horvat and Robert Thomas would be fantastic, right? We got 10 picks in the top 4 rounds. Look, again, I don't know if St. Louis would be trading, but that's the beauty about this, Jesse. Just maybe as a final note, Kent Hughes has the assets. I know we said this a bunch, but he has the assets to go after someone that could currently be deemed to be untouchable. Look, trades can happen for any player anytime. Did anyone ever think Brad Marchand was leaving Boston for Florida for a second-round pick? No one, right? Until the very last minute. It wouldn't have even been thought of. Did anyone think Rantanen was going to be traded before he was traded? No. Everyone thought he'd sign that extension on day one that it was possible, right? Even basketball. Everyone in the world's heard about the Luka Doncic trade. These crazy things can happen. And Jesse, just the final thing, I think Kent Hughes is in a better position than literally any other GM in the league to make something big happen.
And he's definitely going to have to. Again, somebody like a Robert Thomas, it's he's basically on the one untouchable player for the Blues right now. But let's be real, he can be gotten for the right price. And it's going to be interesting where Kent Hughes is kind of aired more on the side of often negotiation, kind of drawing that line. But now we're going to see kind of his strategy when he goes to get out. But I definitely feel in his power of negotiation, he's going to be able to get a good player while we know we're going to have to give something up while still knowing firmly the value and not overpaying. Again, I think his true merit is really going to shine in some big moves that he's going to be doing this summer.
100%. And hey, even if it's a free agent or if it's maybe sign and trade, we want an extension, cap's going up. We got the space, baby. Derek Rendell also, before we move on, Mason McTavish. I like that idea if he's ever available from Anaheim. I don't know what Anaheim's doing.
Exactly. I love this exercise.
Yeah, it's so fun. Yeah. We can name players all day. And it's going to be great, right? So Anaheim's very interesting. Even Jason Patrick saying 2 firsts and 2 prospects for Thomas. Let's get it done. Hey, if it happens, it happens. I'm just so excited. Don't forget, Demidov's going to be our big free agent acquisition this year. So there's so much stuff, but we got to move on a little bit. Now, before we get to the specific move Montreal made, I want to talk a little bit about Laval, Jesse. And right now, as we all know, they're at the top of the standings. So Laval right now has been doing amazing. But actually, one little thing, before we get into Laval, I just want you guys to take a look at the pinned comment here. We're going to run an ad in just a minute. We got a really, really cool, if you guys are interested in sports at all in March Madness, we got a really cool thing happening. Check out the pinned comment here. I'm actually going to send it again in a message. Let me just click it here. Yeah, we're just going to click this here for the link. We're going to run the ad. Actually, we're going to run it now. It's completely free, literally 100% free. You just need an email and a password. That's it. I know it sounds too good to be true, but I'm dead serious. Just an email, a password. There's $35,000 worth of prizes to be won. We'll just run this really quick before we dive into Laval, and just wanted to say thank you to Hot Takes for helping partner with this, because this is actually really, really cool. Is it going to work? It's not going to work. Okay, what about this?
We are kicking off a March Madness bracket for the channel, folks. We've partnered with the Hot Takes app. You know we love Hot Takes and other digest channels for this event. It's completely free to sign up. Just download the Hot Takes app, click the March Madness banner, and join the digest media pool to join the competition. And it's really exciting because there's over $35,000 in prizes to be won. That's right. And since there's a much smaller pool, there is a real chance to win.
Absolutely. So check out the link below or scan the QR code to download the app now, and make sure you use the promo code DIGEST. That's all caps, has to be all caps, digest. When you sign up, you'll be prompted for the referral code and you'll get some exclusive perks that no one else will get signing up to this, guys. You're going to want to do it quick because the first round, the main event, starts on March 16th. So get in now, click the link down below. We're pumped about this. And hey, if you have any problem signing up at all, email us. There'll be an email left in the description below. Thank you so much to Hot Takes for partnering with us on this amazing competition. There we go, guys. Again, like I said, completely free, and just check the instructions in the description. Thank you, Hot Takes. Let's get back into this. Now, we got to talk about Laval. So, the Laval Rocket, Jesse, number one in the entire AHL. I mean, look, they have been, honestly, absolutely unbelievable. 37 wins. And not to mention, again, we always say this, they're one of the youngest teams in the league, and everyone in the chat, spam W's, or, well, maybe L's. L's for Laval. I know it's the opposite of what we mean, but that's why it's ironic and funny, right? Spam L's in the chat for Laval. Right now, they're unbelievable, Jesse. They're looking really good. They are adding Owen Beck now for this next stretch of the season. We'll talk about that implication on Montreal soon, as that was made official today. But, oh yeah, there's Jason Patrick spamming the L. But right now, we also have news that Kaiden will be back for playoffs. How does this outlook for Laval affect your perception of Montreal going forward? And yours in the comments. Spam those L's and let us know how hyped you are for Laval. Because, Jesse, like, honestly, if Montreal doesn't make the playoffs, like, at least we have Laval here being that number one seed, potentially a dynasty of their own forming.
Definitely, some young players kind of turning up at some important times. And we know not all these guys are going to make it to the NHL, but obviously that success, it's helping so much for the culture and really to develop those players. I know we're going to get into a little bit further, but like Pascal Vincent obviously is deserving a lot of praise here. It's looking like this might be his only season here in Montreal, or in Laval rather, the way that he's really coaching this team and really getting them to perform when it matters the most. Of course, I got some great goaltending this year, which I think has been a huge part of that. Like Dobech being able to come up here and kind of continue that play. Like Laval has been giving us some gifts this year. Obviously, we've seen Heineman graduate. Like, who's going to be that next person to really come from Laval and really stake his claim with the Montreal Canadiens? Because, like, Emil Heineman is a Montreal Canadien now. Like, he is not a Laval Rocket. That's a hard transition to do when you're not kind of one of those elite prospects. But he's secured a job in the NHL, and you have to feel like that entire development staff is a big part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. The development staff has been unbelievable, and you make a very interesting point. And, I mean, I've seen that raise some places. Like, what do you guys think in the chat right now? Let us know your thoughts. Is this potentially Pascal Vincent's only season in Laval? Because we have Derek even saying Pascal Vincent will be a very sought-after coach after this summer. Personally, I would add him to Montreal. Marty has done good to get some of these Hab guys developing properly, but Vincent can win. I actually think that's an interesting idea, Jesse, because while Pascal Vincent, like, he's in an interesting spot because he's been an AHL coach, he's been an NHL assistant coach, but as an NHL head coach, it really didn't work out very well for him in Columbus. So you have to wonder if teams would be hesitant to hire him for another head coaching position. But with the success of Laval this year, you have to assume an NHL job is coming. How would you feel if Pascal Vincent ended up being hired by the Montreal coaching staff? Or do you think that would maybe not be the ideal use of him? Or do you think another team might even actually try and poach him for another head coaching gig?
I think the most likeliest is that he will get a head coaching job somewhere else in the NHL. That being said, it's like, I think he's a great coach, but bringing somebody who's also a French speaker in behind Martin St. Louis is maybe putting a little bit of pressure there. It's saying, because we know the French media, and of course, any kind of media, it's going to start putting pressure on him. If Martin St. Louis starts to slack, like saying, like, okay, we got your replacement basically right here in the wings. I think that might be a little bit too on the nose, for Kent Hughes to really do with this organization. That being said, it's like when you have coaching talent, you can't just kind of dole it away and think, oh, we're just going to get another guy that's going to come into Laval and just fit in perfectly and we'll be top of division and top of the league next year as well. So just like with players, you want to have that proper asset management, where if you feel like you have somebody who's really contributing to your culture and to your organization, you want to keep them around. I'm just concerned about the optics there. Like, I really like Martin St. Louis, what he's done this year. And for that fact, even though I'd like to see a little bit more kind of veteran presence behind that bench here in Montreal as well, I just don't know if he's that exact guy, just for the reasons mentioned.
I think that's actually a good point that I didn't even think about. Like, Yeah, I mean, that's been something we've mentioned kind of before. Like, you have a kind of, oh, we hire this amazing assistant coach. It does seem to put some pressure. Now, obviously, you want to have as good of an NHL coaching staff as you can. And at that point, too, it's like, at what point do you draw that line? But I think I'm kind of on board with you there. Like, I think, first of all, if we can keep him in Laval, if he enjoys it, I think that'd be great because, again, he's getting the most out of guys. He's unlocked Sean Farrell for the second half of the season. What he's done with Florian Xhekaj has changed the trajectory as a prospect in the second half of the season, now becoming a reliable face-off man at the center position who's scoring way more goals than we would have thought in his rookie AHL season. So Pascal Vincent, like, yeah, we say Marty gets some good stuff going with development and stuff like that. Pascal can win in the AHL. He doesn't have that good track record in the NHL as of now. He didn't really get a fair shake, if we're being honest here. That situation was kind of tough.
Yeah,
but yeah, like sure. Everything he's done has been amazing. Not to mention, he's going to get a bolstered roster. As I wanted to point out, last video, Oliver Kapanen dropped to 10th in points per game in the SHL. He's back to 6th. He's back up to .914 points per game after getting 2 points in his last outing. He had 30 and 34. Now it's 32 points and 35. And just a reminder to look at the ages of everyone else around him. Jesse, as we're looking at a potential playoff, well, a guaranteed playoff push for Laval, but Oliver Kapanen coming over. I think this is maybe my hot take. Laval wins the Calder Cup and Oliver Kapanen is going to be the tournament MVP. I know it's going to take a bit of, getting used to come back playing the SHL, coming back over to North America. But I genuinely, like, when I watch him play, this dude is ready to make an impact right now. It's an extremely hot take by me, considering the veterans that are on. Oh, we got W. Take Justin is happy with Oliver Kapanen. Usually we don't allow spam, but I don't mind the W's for Oliver Kapanen. But right now, like, I think it's a hot take. Primeau's been amazing. Obviously, a lot of the Laval guys like Barré Boulet, even Laurent Dauphin have been amazing. But this guy, there's something about him, Jesse. I expect him to come in and be a special teams monster when he comes over, and I think he's going to thrive in this system.
Yeah, and again, he can play with a lot of pace. You'd have to feel like he fit in really well with Andre Barré-Boulet, who's basically a point-per-game player right now. We got guys going under the radar, too, for the HL, like Laurent Dauphin, playing really well, getting a lot of points. So a little bit of the vets and the young guys chipping in. You then throw Oliver Kapanen in the mix. He's got a ton of skill, Josh. And I think we got to address, again, the Kapanen-Beck kind of debate here once again, because Beck's getting set back down. They're going to be playing together. Who's going to be on the higher lineup, like let's say, once Kapanen arrives over there? Who, for next year at training camp, who makes the team, who doesn't? This is going to be an interesting battle kind of going forward, Josh. And I think you've made a really good point in the past that Kapanen has a higher ceiling. I agree with that. Absolutely. Nice. That being said, is that Beck's physicality has actually served him very well at the NHL level and what allowed him to be effective. Whereas, some situations where Kapanen's at this point in his development, respectfully not staying on his skates at some points where Owen Beck's taken that contact as well. So different players, different styles, not exactly, we can't compare them exactly, but there is enough that they have in common where we kind of need to be looking at where they project. Like, if Kapanen can get the physical part of the game going, can take contact, initiate it, there's no limit. But if he's going to have issues with that side of the game, getting knocked off the puck, that's going to be a huge issue until that kind of gets rectified. So that being said, I hear what you're saying about Kapanen. We're going to see how they need to adjust at the NHL level, but he'll need to have that, bring that physicality like Beck does as well, because that's been a big part of his success.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I'll be honest, I am extremely, I'm optimistic about Oliver Kapanen. This dude, I see something in him. Just like I see something in Adam Engstrom. Does that mean literally anything? No, but it matters to me. Like, I care. I'm like, look, I'd love to be proven right about him. And I think I just see some things in his game, but you're very right, Jesse, that there are aspects of his game that aren't going to come as easy. I mean, we watched him on the NHL ice this season in his 12-game sample, and those things that you mentioned are going to be tough things to get used to, and it's going to take time. It's going to take experience. But coming into the AHL, a more physical league, going in a playoff push, what better time than now to get him used to that? And look, if it takes him a while to get used to it, my take of him being the tournament MVP is probably going to go down the toilet, but maybe he's ready right away. The SHL, yeah, it is more of a skill league. Historically, doesn't mean there's no big bruisers, right? So anyway, it's very interesting. And I love the love here for Oliver Kapanen, for the Laval Rocket. I wish I could answer all of your guys' messages. Again, reminder, channel members get priority response and also super chats. So if you really want to get a message read, that is your best way. Again, not encouraging you guys, do not have to do that, but I'm going to try to read the ones that I can. As I did see Mark Orr come in here, one of our Rocket Richard members. Hello to all you amazing Habs fans. Keep the faith. Go Habs, go. Mark, love to see you here as always. We got a few of our Rocket Richard members in here, and I'm going to, just a couple more people. Joe Polo saying great job. Thank you. And even Dave sending the emojis. But guys, Jesse, we're about to talk about the final topic here. And just a reminder, guys, to check out that March Madness thing. I know I keep plugging it, but like it's a huge thing for us. So if you wouldn't mind checking it, again, you're new, you just joined the stream, completely free, just a username and password. You can win. There's $35,000 worth of prizes. First place of the whole thing gets 3,000 USD. And I'm not kidding when I say it's completely free. So just genuinely saying that. Time to get into the big stuff. And you know what? Let's go for 100 likes. We're 6 likes away. Jesse, let's talk about this. What was your reaction when you saw this? Just straight up, how did you feel? I was surprised. I did not see this coming. But I think we're going to have a nice little chat about this.
I love that we're getting competitive and we're making decisive moves to do anything that we can to make this team better. Because we saw going back to training camp, we're like, are they icing the team that's the most competitive objectively? Because it sometimes didn't always feel like that. We see where we're now, where we're fighting for a playoff spot. I love to see all hands on deck, people brainstorming like, how can we ice a team that's going to just give us the best chance to win? The reason why this is a good decision, Josh, is we saw after last game, if the first line wasn't getting a point, and by the way, I'm not a betting man, but going out for the rest of the season, it's a good bet to kind of think that the Habs line, at least one of those guys in that first line is going to get a point. But that game where they're maybe not showing up is basically the secondary scoring was non-existent without Line A being in there. Yeah. So I think bringing in somebody like Joshua Roy, who's a little bit more of a scoring threat on that second line, again, we want Patrick Line to be back. Like the best for me on that second line would be Alex Newhook for right now, centering both Patrick Line and Joshua Roy. It's looking right now like Joshua Roy is going to come in for Patrick Line. Still missed practice today because of flu symptoms. Again, though, just adding more of that scoring threat because we needed that. And I love that the Montreal Canadiens management's observing this. As I had mentioned in the post game against the Calgary Flames, if that first line, if they weren't going to get a goal, then basically nobody else was going to that game. So again, getting a little bit more of that support on the second line. You know me, I've been partial to Joshua Roy for a long time now. I believe in his game, and hopefully just, a lot of the excitement of kind of playing for games that really matters can just kind of put a little bit of a pep in his step because we know he's got a hell of a shot.
Yeah, he absolutely does. And I think you got a great point there, specifically on the secondary scoring. I mean, in the AHL, the scoring numbers are actually somewhat similar. But when it comes to driving certain play styles in the NHL, first of all, Owen Beck was playing more of a wing role than I would have expected. Like, if you look at the face-off numbers in terms of who was taking the most face-offs, on that Beck-Newhook line-A line, when it was kind of going together, Newhook was the one taking the vast majority of draws. Beck was taking some. And Beck was sometimes playing the center position on the ice, but it was a little more Newhook than I would have expected. So to me, look, when watching those games too, Beck was the least used forward in all of the ones that he played, right? Minus when Pezzetta played there in that last game. So to me, it kind of shows Marty is not quite ready to give Beck the full reins as a center, which I think is fair. And I think we expected that to some extent. He looked good in the minutes he got. He looked solid, still learning the game. I have very high hopes. And before I move on, I just want to thank Doug Saylor for being in the chat, for being a channel member for 9 months, re-upping the Rocket Richard tier membership. Doug, I just wanted to say how great it is to have you here all the time. And hey, we're going to have another little video call with all of our Rocket Richard tier members coming very soon because, it's been a while. We miss you guys. It's been a while since we chatted with you. We always have great conversations. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, if you're a Rocket Richard tier member, you get to video call with us every now and then, and they're always fun, and these guys can speak to it. As Mark also says, there's nothing saying Kaiden and Beck can't both be future centers. I think that's a great point too. But when you're looking at scoring punch, Jesse, like, it's probably going to be Line A, Newhook, and Waugh with Newhook centering. Waugh has 20 goals for the Laval Rocket. He leads the team. Jared Davidson has 19, who has also been amazing, like really, really, really good. I thought, I wouldn't have been shocked if it was his name getting called up. But Waugh has that NHL experience. It says you're fighting for a playoff spot. Bringing up a guy like Davidson, I think, comes with risk. I did see someone also mention Barré-Boulet, but I honestly don't think he'd pass back through waivers if you sent him back down. His production in the AHL is good enough that I think some teams might be willing to just claim him for the sake of claiming him to hurt Montreal, if not for anything else, right? So scoring punches is something I definitely think we could see because, Jesse, we saw enough of a sample with Joshua Roy playing with certain players. He had some good chemistry with Armia in the past that I think him, as we've seen, when he played with Bedard, he played a faster brand of hockey. He looked really good. That's an interesting second line because line A plays a little more slow, methodical. Newhook is left and right, he's going like crazy. And then Joshua Roy just kind of does whatever he needs to. I'm actually very curious to see how this works out because I actually think it's a real good stylistic fit.
And I mean, if Line is out, he's going to be playing with two horses in Newhook and Anderson there, both guys that like to wheel. So that could be a good fit for him. Again, we want Patrick Line back as quick as possible because for me, he's looked dangerous, 5v5 and really providing that secondary scoring, which again is the reason that we got him and is going to be key for us down the stretch if we want to make that playoff push. Like, again, we'll bet good money on that first line for the Montreal Canadiens doing that thing, but we're going to need that team effort. The question will really be, can we get that scoring from secondary, facets on a team? If we can, there's a really big chance of us making the playoffs, but that's really a big question kind of going down the stretch, as it has been for a lot of parts this season. We've kind of tightened up a lot of things defensively, but if we can kind of get that goal scoring there and that secondary scoring, that's really going to be the key down the stretch.
I'm actually really excited to see how this team goes down the stretch. We got a lot of great comments here now. We got Mark saying we are fighting for a playoff spot. The bench will get shorter as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. Some players' TOI will go up while others go down. It's normal. Yeah, it absolutely is normal. And I think that's also part of the reason, like, to go to your point, like, you got to just put out the guys that are going to give you the best chance to win. And right now, if Marty is only comfortable playing Owen Beck 7-8 minutes a night, it's probably not what it is. You might as well give Joshua Watt a shot, right? And again, it's not a slight on Owen Beck. And, we had some concerns about Joshua Watt earlier this season. He has seemed to bounce back a bit. He's been more hot in the recent stretches. Give him a chance, right? There's a lot of guys in Laval, and it's another thing. It's like motivation, right? It gives you motivation if you make the Habs that, look, your spot is not guaranteed right now. You have guys down in Laval having 20-goal seasons. 20 goals in 46 games for Watt is really, really good. Like, that's basically, like, it's nearly, I think, over a full AHL season, nearly a 30-goal pace, which would be nuts, right? And again, he had a great year last year, too. So your spot's never safe. There's always that fire behind you, knowing that people can come up and step up. And with this playoff race, everyone's going to be more motivated than ever to get this team going. So that's a great point, Mark. And Derek saying part of why Watt went back to Laval was due to his work ethic and frequent nightlife. Glad to see they've rewarded him if he changed some of those minor negatives. Hard to say if he did, Jesse, but again, I think the rewards, I think the fact they're calling him up over even someone like a Davidson, like, I think to me that tells us that, one, it's that, maybe he's fixed some stuff, but two, it's just they're trying to win. And so really, really good. And do we actually know what's wrong with Patty Laine? It's just a flu, right? We don't have any more details
just
on that.
Just a flu, just a cold, yeah.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people that's what we're hearing. So just Joseph, I mean, just to respond to your comment, that's all we're hearing here. We also got Ryan saying, love the streams. They are so good. Thank you so much. And Brian, another Rocket Richard member, it's all in their heads. They know it. Hughes is giving them the opportunity with the team that took them to this point. All right, Jesse, I think before we end this stream, a little bit of a shorter one today. There's not a whole lot of news coming. We got this West Coast road trip. We're making the most of it for you guys. We're here doing this. I don't know. I'm just going to ask, at this point, do you think Montreal makes the playoffs? My bold prediction, I think they sneak in. I know it might sound crazy. I genuinely believe in this team. Am I delusional? Look, I think to be a fan, sometimes you have to be, but I don't think I'm so delusional that it's the most ridiculous take in the world. Maybe I think our guys are better than most other fan bases would see them as, but I think you're not a fan if you don't. I actually genuinely do think that the fire lit under them after this deadline is going to lead them to a playoff spot. Maybe that's a hot take. Jesse, you got to find any final thought on that, and the fans in the chat, let us know what you think as well.
I think it's important as a fan, to believe that this team can very well make the playoffs. I believe that they will, right? I think that obviously there's a lot of competition to kind of go over at this point, but they're getting hot at the right time. I think the goaltending is really stabilized. Like, we're getting it from Dobesh. We're getting it obviously from Montembeault. That was a lot of the problems we had earlier on in the season. We didn't have the backup goaling. We've been able to stabilize stuff in defense. Like, we're able just to get that secondary scoring. Like, that first line, all these three players, Caufield, Suzuki, Slaf, they've all stepped up. So that's a strong indicator for this end of the season. When there really matters, they're playing their best. It stands to show that when games get that much more important, that they're going to continue to step up. Again, it's our secondary scoring. If that can really play a major part, if Newhook can kind of get it together, which you feel like it has to, like, the numbers will come at a certain point. Because the eye test is there, and I'm a big believer, you play the game right, you're going to get rewarded at some point. There's kind of a couple guys on this team that I feel the same way about. Again, but our young guys, and just the fact that we have some selections, like they're going to be big for this team down the stretch. Because again, we need that second line to be operating. I got faith in Evans and everything else, but I need our top six really to be operating. There's so much hockey left to be played here. I think that, even though we just lost like our recent game against Calgary, as I mentioned in that post-game recap, it's like the standard of play, though, it's like there's a difference between losing a game 1-0 and getting completely blown out. And for me, like it does matters because you're establishing a level of play. And if we're kind of graphing and kind of mapping that out for the Montreal Canadiens, it's been rather stable, which for me, again, if we're speaking about good indicators for the rest of the season, fairly good level of play for the most part. Is there some things we kind of work on? We want to get those goals? Yeah, absolutely. But when good hockey is being played, I think that we need to recognize that. And if you do it, like the wins are going to come. Like we went, 6-7 games of getting a point streak, losing that 1-0 game there. It doesn't take much to really get back on that horse once again. So again, this team has shown that it can be good this season. I think that matters. So going on that big win streak, shortly thereafter, I expect us, and I really want us to get right back on that horse right again.
Yeah, and here's a look at the next 6 games. I love that spiel because I'm in complete agreement. Like this team has shown that they can do it, but the big point I think that you highlighted as well, like I feel like I can summarize it in 2 words, and that's top 6. Because right now, the goaltending has been great. Samuel Montembeault is always near he's like top 6 in the league in goals saved above expected. Now, that's partly because Montreal has given up a lot more high danger chances than a lot of other teams in the league. So since that's a volume stat and not a rate stat, it's maybe a little misleading, but regardless, it still means he's making some of the biggest saves in the league in terms of his workload. And Jakub Dobeš has been unbelievable since coming up. He's hovering around, a 2.5, 2.6 GAA? Like for a rookie goalie who got called up partway through the season, that's unbelievable. The goaltending's good. The defense has been quite good. I mean, there's defensive lapses here and there. But honestly, the depth scoring is what's going to make or break this team, I think. Like, if you don't get that production from the second line, if your second line is your least used line, night in, night out, like it has been on some of these nights, you're just not going to be competing at the same level as other teams. You'll have to have a lot of luck go your way, and that's not something you want to have to do if you're in a playoff race, right? And we got a lot of great comments. First of all, I'm going to read through some of these before we finish off this stream, but everyone in the stream right now, 325 of you, look at this. No, which one? No, this way, that way. I always point the wrong way. Look at this schedule of the next 6 games, right? We got Canucks, we got Kraken, we got Panthers, Senators, Islanders, and Avalanche. Give your prediction for the record for this next 6-game stretch, because this, you could argue, I mean, any stretch is the biggest stretch of the season, but we got some in-division games here against Florida and Ottawa. We even got some West Coast games that are tough to win on this West Coast road trip, coming off that 1-0 from Calgary. Give us your thoughts, because this is going to be very important going through. But Jesse, we'll read a few more comments before we end this up. This is getting very interesting. I'm going to try and read the ones from channel members. Again, I'm sorry to non-channel members. If you really want us to read it, like I said, unfortunately, super chat's the way to go. Otherwise, I'm going to we got so many chats here. It's unbelievable. Thank you guys for being so active. But Mark, Derek first saying, I don't have a good feeling about Line A. Let's give it some time. Patience is a virtue. It's key, right? Let's see how he looks next year. Look, Jesse, I'm not ready to call any kind of
down the stretch.
Down the stretch. Not to mention next year.
He could be key down the stretch, though. Again, if we're looking for that secondary scoring, we know what this first line's going to do. Stands to show Patrick Laine, he's that big dog we're looking for on that second line. It's really, is he going to step up or is he not? And that's going to play a big part in the Montreal Canadiens making the playoffs or not.
Exactly. Don't forget, this guy's been basically a point-per-game player, even though he's been hurt point per game over the last, 3-4 years. Like, this dude is unbelievable when he's working right. So, I still got faith in him. We got a bunch of fans saying, yeah, we think we can make it, which is awesome. People saying it's going to go down to the wire. I think that's a certainty. It is going to go down to the wire. And honestly, some of this might even be out of the Habs' hands, because there's a lot of other teams that are going to, there's going to be some competition. Mark saying it's all going to come down to the 2 games versus Ottawa and 1 versus the Red Wings. Yeah, the divisional games are always big. Look, we're not going to take 3rd in the division. That's unfortunately been stretched apart, barring a collapse from Tampa, Florida, or Toronto. Those are the top 3 teams right now, and they all bolstered themselves at the deadline. There's a clear gap between those guys and us here with Ottawa, with Detroit, and then Buffalo. But sorry, Buffalo. I like Tage Thompson, like I said. I like Paterka. They got a fun team. Josh Norris, I'm not huge on. It's fine. Derek's saying, unfortunately, I think we're going to miss them by 3 to 5 points. Ottawa's going to clinch the 8 seed. Possible, but again, it's going to get close. Joseph saying, I agree, bro. Just hoping this play of Lady may have the fire. Maybe wrong, but I'm hoping. Yep, like we got to stay hopeful. That's the big thing. Richard Martin saying 14-4-1 and we're in. Goaltending will be the difference. Could be the difference. I think goaltending's been good. A few other. All right, Jesse, let's look at some of these predictions. I'm going to flash this up one more time so we can have a look. Whoops, there we go. We got predictions of 3-3, 4-2, 5-1. I think most people are saying around 5-0-1 or 4-0-2 or 4-1-1. Most people are saying 4 or 5 wins over this next 6-game stretch. Me personally, I'm saying 4 wins over this next 6 with 1 OT loss, and I think that's amazing if they can do that, right? If you can get 9 points out of this 6-game schedule, I'd be thrilled. Do you got any final predictions before we sign off today?
I love that. You have to feel like one of these games will go into extra time as well. So love that, Josh. I'll probably go with 4-2. I think that's kind of the threshold. If you can't be getting that over this next span of 6 games, things get really tough. We know we need to kind of keep it pushing right now, and that's what the boys are raring to do.
They're raring to do it, and again, it's not going to be easy. We got the Colorado Avalanche. Now they lost Rantanen, but they bolstered themselves as well. They got Natchez. They got Brock Nelson. They're ready to go. Ottawa bringing in Dylan Cousins, bringing in Fabian Zetterlund. Florida, we know what they did. Oh, that's going to be an annoying game, but I can't wait to see it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Just one final plug. I'm going to send the thing one more time. If you guys didn't catch the ad earlier, completely free March Madness bracket. All of Digest Media is doing it, not just Habs Digest. All the other Digest channels are participating, and you can be a part of it. Again, no joke. I know it sounds too good to be true. Just an email and password to sign up. Join the Digest Media group. Go back, check the instructions in the description. Join it because we're all in it. We're gonna be in it. You'll be competing against us. All of the other Digest channels, Leafs Digest, Canucks Digest, every other hockey, basketball. You'll be going against them. It's a ton of fun. We're super excited to partner with them. So if you guys could check it out, it'd mean the world to us. But that'll do it for this live episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel, guys. We are pumped for this next stretch of games, and we hope you stick along for the ride with us. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.